The Nigerian Senate ruling out real-time transfer of results, giving the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the latitude to decide the mode of transmission, has been resisted by citizens. The latest controversy around the Electoral Act has led to a protest tagged Occupy National Assembly, which was organized by Nigerian youths, pro-democracy activists, and civil society groups who are demanding that lawmakers reverse their position on the electronic transmission clause in the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Joining us on this show to discuss the controversy trailing the amended Electoral Act, the need for the National Assembly to chart an independent course and avoid needless controversies like tax law, and then this current controversy, is Dr. Usman Bugaje, an Islamic scholar, political activist, and civil society leader. Good morning, Dr. Bugaje, and thank you for joining us again on The Morning Show.
Good morning, Abati, and your very good team. It's always my pleasure.
Well, thank you very much. Well, very quickly, the controversy that is raging, mandatory real-time transmission. The Senate of the Federal Republic is meeting today to do what they call votes and proceedings process, which is like to pass the bill and take a decision. But apparently, coming back from recess, they must have been listening to what the society is saying in terms of their expectations. Now, what do you think they should do? What do you expect? And what do you think about the fact that the Supreme Court had said IREV, whatever is electronically transmitted onto IREV, the IREV is just a viewing portal. It's not a collation center. That seems to be the sore point here.
Thank you very much, Ruben. But you see, this is precisely because of that ruling of the Supreme Court, it had become necessary for us to now go back and amend the law for clarity, accuracy, and precision, so that everybody will be clear. Because the whole idea is to do a transparent election. And the best way to do it is to make sure that the results are available electronically, immediately, that's real time, so that everybody can see exactly where the votes are. And the idea of this amendment is precisely to address the very point that the Supreme Court, had raised earlier. And even INEC itself, in its submission, has gone as far as saying that there should be mandatory transmission of results in real time. The House of Reps have done exactly that. Why the Senate is always caught cheating or deceiving people is one thing that we really have to address after this amendment. This is not the first time the Senate is found napping or is caught cheating in terms of their basic function of lawmaking. They have done that, like you just mentioned, with the tax law. They have done that with padding of budgets, and as a result of the mess they have done, we have now nearly 3 budgets, none of which is really functional. You don't know where really you are. So businesses cannot plan because they don't know which budget is going to be implemented, which one is going to be funded. And so the Senate leadership, at least, is now being the biggest problem, of this country. And we need to begin to ask, of what use are these leadership? What kind of irresponsible behavior is this? So we'll have to take that up after we have gone through the amendment. But I think there is a groundswell of opinion across the country, even with their fellow legislatures in the House, that this mandatory transmission in real time is what everybody wants. And that's what And that's what should actually be done. And Nigerians are not ready for anything less.
All right. Okay, thank you very much, sir. I would like you to speak to some of the arguments that have been made. Some people have described this moment as a defining moment in our democratic history here in Nigeria. And it could possibly be a game changer when it comes to the way elections are run. What do you say about the fact that, number one, we don't have enough time? We have almost close to a year now to the next election cycle, and INEC might not be prepared to be able to manage this process. Number two is, of course, the big concern, the excuse they've given around the fact that, oh, we don't have internet penetration in some areas, so it would exclude some areas, and it is not practical. What do you have to say about these excuses or reasons, at least, that have been given by the Senate? These are all alibis to prepare for rigging, are you? It's very clear. You have POS in the remotest villages. You have telephones working, WhatsApp, people communicating, sending messages and communicating. In any case, it is for INEC to say that we do not have the capacity to deliver. It's not for the legislatures to do that. And like I said, INEC itself has recommended in its submission during the public hearing that this is the position. So what is the business of the Senate to start speculating about INEC's inability to do that when INEC is very clear on its own particular position? And experts in the last few days have come out to say that the amount of coverage is more than sufficient for INEC to deliver. And remember, even if you post in remote areas, by the time you move into area of coverage, the message will find its way to the portal. And therefore, it's not something that is impossible. Many countries in the world which are far less developed in terms of internet coverage have done exactly this. So really, these are no reasons at all. These are alibis, excuses given because they want to prepare for rigging. Otherwise, why should you block? In the 21st century, with all the advancement, in any case, we have sufficient time to to build the capacity of INEC. This can be done in 1 month. It's not like some kind of, you're not building a mansion, you are just putting gadgets together and linking up satellites. So even if you want to do more, there are lots of other facilities available in the world that will allow you to make this. So I think the whole idea of giving excuses is suspect, and clearly the intention is to find a way of attenuating the electoral system in a way that will give certain people the advantage to rig our elections like they have done. Even last year, you recall clearly the last elections, you recall exactly what happened. They switched off, and then all sorts of images were coming, and really up till now, nobody has adequately explained to us what exactly happened. If it was a glitch, why didn't it happen with other results? Why only the presidential results? And this is something in a serious country that must have been investigated, and if people were found wanting, they would have been prosecuted. But a lot of these criminals are working scot-free.
Okay. What do we then do? We have about a year to the elections, or even less than a year. We also have another scenario where even if they finally listen to the people and get the pressure off the streets by signing it, you cannot tell if they are still embedded in some provisions that will favor them because they know Nigerians will not scrutinize all of that bill. Thirdly, will the president sign it?
Well,
if he also signs it, is that not a cause for alarm? Because as we are speaking as Nigerians, these politicians are using their consultants to look for areas that will favor them. And how are we sure that what they will pass will be the same with what the president will sign? We've had that with the tax bill. Till today, the committee set up by the National Assembly, they've not come back to us on the tax bill. And they've said Nigeria should go ahead and start using this. It's even been implemented. So these are all of our fears.
Well, the processes are very clear, Rufai. If there is a law that has been passed by the National Assembly, if the president does not sign, the National Assembly is empowered to pass that law by 2/3 majority. And once that is done, it becomes law, irrespective of whether the president has, signed it or not. If the president does not implement it, he is breaching a law that has been signed and passed by the National Assembly, and that is an impeachable, offense. It's just that the National Assembly has no liver. They have no courage. They don't even know their work. They are just there collecting money, left, right, and center. And this is why they are ineffective. And this is why we must change them in the coming election. But coming back to your point, the fact of the matter is that a lot of these things can be done within the shortest possible time. There is no problem at all. If you have listened, and I'm sure a few of these experts have spoken to your own program, these things can be fixed in the shortest possible time. I expect that even if the president signs, he may delay the release of funds to INEC to build that capacity to be able to deliver what the law has said. But this is something for civil society and for the active members of the National Assembly, the few that are independent, to pursue. Because if there are delays, then they should shout. They should bring this out to the public, and the public will know what to do. And therefore, nobody can just continue to fool, 200 and nearly 60, 70 million people, for all the time. Therefore, we are not going to take our eyes off the ball. We will be watching every step of the way until the election is through.
Okay, Dr. Bugaje, are there other proposals, either from the House of Reps side or the Senate side, that you also consider very important, since we may eventually have a conference committee of both chambers, like some of the other issues raised in the course of the conversation, about giving persons in correctional centers the right to vote, about the change in the calendar, the electoral timetable for INEC. Previously 360 days before the election. Now the Senate is saying it should be 120 days, so that you don't, create a situation whereby a whole 1 year plus to the election, electioneering will have started and the government of the day will have been rendered lame dog. Release of funds to INEC at least 1 year before the election. Some of those other issues that, we have in the public domain. How important do you consider some of those to be? Or the main clause is just about this mandatory real-time electronic transmission of results?
Ruben, there are lots of issues that the Senate has deliberately avoided. For example, Section 84 that deals with the actual internal democracy within the primaries, which have not been implemented. There are Section 68, Section 109 that deal with people decamping. There are proposals to strengthen those sections so that people who are elected on the platform of another party, the moment they decide to move to another party, they lose that right because the mandate was given on the basis of a particular party. Why do you need a political party to contest election? Because a political party has a program, has a vision, has a particular peculiar characteristic based on which those who voted actually voted. And therefore you cannot take away that midstream and move to another party that may have a different program, a different perspective, and then carry the votes of those people who voted you because you stood on the platform of a particular party. There are lots of issues that are deliberately being suppressed or blocked so that the proper democratic
practices will never see the light of the day. But these are going to be part of the struggle which both the citizens and the civil society will have to continue. We are prepared to continue having incremental development, incremental gains until we eventually get to where we should be. So there are lots of issues, but I think this issue of 120, 360, there is no point to go in, because if they have signed the law, they would still have enough time, 360 days. And if they are going to adjust it, why go as far as 1/3 of that particular period? Why do you want to stampede INEC and constrict this? Because you don't want the processes to take their normal gestation periods, so that the preparation will not be properly done, and then the whole election will be, rowdy, and eventually you just simply get results announced like it was done in 2023, and then you go to the courts, and you know what the courts have become today. So I think the controversy should not stop us from making this particular amendment of mandatory transmission of results in real time. And the issue of dates, I think we still have enough time. If we pass this week and the president signs this week, we still have enough time to give INEC the 360 days. These 360 days, I recall when the laws were being done, were worked out with a lot of details, enough details to do this, enough details, time to do this. And therefore, the problem is not so much in the number of days, it's the fact that the Senate has been dragging this issue over time as if to exhaust that particular period of time that has been given, and then to, give us a fait accompli. We are not going to allow this to happen. We have to insist that the 360, if you are going to do any adjustment, okay, take the time that the Senate has wasted, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, off that, and then try to rearrange so that there will be sufficient time to deliver.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time with us this morning, Dr. Usman Bugaje. We look forward to a conversation with you again here on The Morning Show.